Hey guys, and welcome to my in-depth Death Knight PvP guide. This guide contains what spec, stats, reforge, enchants, gems, talent trees, glyphs, presents, pet control, macros and other useful tips. Should I go Unholy or Frost? What weapons should I use? Here are some basic minds about both specs. Unholy DK pros: mobility with death advance, survivability with 100% resisting anti-magic shell, anti-magic zone for support and more death coil self-heal. Unholy DK cons: no burst class, at least when you don't have your gargoyle and your duck transformation up. Frost DK pros: constant high damage, hungering cold SCC, and better chains of ice for better support. Frost DK cons: mobility and survivability with 75% absorb, anti-magic shell and less heal through Lichborne death coil. So should you go Frost dual wield or Frost two-hand? Frost dual wield pros: less hit is more mastery. A bit extra burst with frost strikes, 10% more frost damage from Rune of Razor Eyes, higher uptime of Killing Machine and higher white damage. Frost dual wield cons: huge amounts of downtime, low runic power gain and lower survivability because of missing runic power. And can't use Necrotic Strike that much to stay above the damage of Frost two-hand. Frost two-hand pros: high runic power gain, higher survivability and better constant damage. Frost two-hand cons: more hit is less mastery or haste, and missing second Runeforge for 10% more frost damage. Both Frost specs and Unholy spec are viable to play, also above 2.2k arena. It depends on the setup of your team. If you play a triple DPS comp or comp with burst damage, you will most likely go regular Frost. If you have an unbreakable CC combo like TSG or others, you can go Master Frost for insane AoE pressure. If you play with any caster, you will most likely play Unholy. In my opinion, Frost is nice to play, but a well-played Unholy DK is more viable. Okay, now let's start with our character. Note that the stats, gems and enchants stay the same, doesn't matter if you have Wishes, Ruthless or Cataclysmic PvP gear. First of all, we're going to take a closer look at the Death Knight stats and stat priorities. In general, you will need 5% hit, which is about 600.63 hit rating and 195 spell penetration. Spell penetration stops important abilities like Death Grip and Chains of Ice from getting resisted. The rest of our stats depends on the following. As an Unholy DK you will need 5% hit, 195 spell penetration, followed by Resilience, Strength, Haste, Mastery and Crit. As a Master Frost DK you will need 5% hit, 195 spell penetration, followed by Resilience, Strength, Mastery, Haste and Crit. As a regular Frost DK you will need 5% hit, 195 spell penetration, followed by Resilience, Strength, Haste, Mastery and Crit. The difference between Master Frost and regular Frost Death Knights. As a Master Frost Death Knight you will mainly use Hole and Blast, Frost Strikes and Necrotic Strikes. It's a badass AoE spec, mainly used in rated battlegrounds and non-breakable CC setups in arena. As a regular Frost Death Knight you will mainly use Obliterate and Frost Strikes for single target burst. To reach those caps you will have to buy the Choker of Accuracy, which gives you hit, the Cloak of Alacrity, which gives you spell penetration, and the Signet of Cruelty, which gives you hit rating. The rest of the gear depends if you play Unholy or Frost. Like explained above, the stat priority depends on your spec. If you play Unholy, you will have to reforge all Mastery, Crit and Expertise into Haste. If you play Master Frost, you will have to reforge all Haste, Crit and Expertise into Mastery. If you play regular Frost, you will have to reforge all Mastery, Crit and Expertise into Haste. Feel free to take a look at my character, link is given in the description below. Now we're going to take a look at our enchants. Head: 60 strength and 35 resilience. Shoulders: 50 strength and 25 resilience. Cloak: 70 spell penetration. Chest: 40 resilience. Braces: 50 strength. Gloves: 50 strength. Waist: free socket. Legs: 190 attack power and 55 critical strike rating. Feet: 50 haste or 50 mastery, depends if you play Unholy or Frost. Weapon: Rune of the Fallen Crusader. If you don't know where to get those enchants, just look at the description below, I've listed all enchants and where you get them. Now we're going to take a look at our gems. We will use Strength for our red sockets, Strength and Resilience for our yellow sockets, Spell Penetration for our blue sockets and Strength and Crit Effect for our meta gem. If you cannot afford the 2 epic Stormy gems, you will have to take 3 Stormy Ocean Sapphires into the gloves, waist and legs. If you have the option to take the Stormy Deep Amulets, you will place them into the gloves and the legs because they want a 10 strength socket bonus of the waist. If you lack resilience, you can place them into the legs to get a 20 resilience socket bonus. Now we're going to take a look at our talent trees. You can adjust them for your own playstyle. For example, instead of bladed armor you could use blade berry and so on. But these are the specs I'm currently using. As an Unholy DK you will use the 0833 spec, as a Master Frost DK you will use the 3317 spec, and as a regular Frost DK you will use the 3317 spec. Links are in the description below. Alright, now we're going to take a look at our glyphs. As an Unholy Death Knight you will use Prime Glyphs, Death Coil, Raise Dead, Scorch Strike or Icy Touch, Major Glyphs, Anti-Magic Shell, Strangulate and Death Grip, Minor Glyphs, Death Embrace, Resilient Grip and Horn of Winter. As a Frost Death Knight you will use Prime Glyphs, Frost Strike, Holding Blast, Icy Touch for Master Frost or Obliterate for regular Frost, Major Glyphs, Anti-Magic Shell, Strangulate and Hungering Cold, and Minor Glyphs, Death Embrace, Resilient Grip and Horn of Winter. So what presence should I use? You will play Unholy, Master Frost and regular Frost in Unholy presence. The only spec you will not play in Unholy presence is Blood. Another important step to become a better PvPer is the manual control of your pet. That means that you control which target it's going to attack and also when it's going to use Gnaw or Leap or anything else. To play your Death Knight even more effective you should write some macros. Here's a list of macros I'm currently using. All-in-one Death Coil macro. Use Death Coil target, Shift and use, activate Lichborne Death Coil on yourself, Alt and use, Death Coil at pet. Sacrifice macro. This macro will use Death Pact on your gargoyle if it's activated, on your ghoul if your gargoyle is not up. If both are up, it will sacrifice the gargoyle or with Shift and use the ghoul. Pet Gnaw macro. Use Claw on, attack target. Alt and use, Claw off, Gnaw at target. Shift and use, Claw off, Leap at focus, Gnaw at focus. Cancel aura macro. This macro cancels a buff, for example Ice Block, Divine Shield, Lichborne and so on. Unholy Frenzy macro. On use, Unholy Frenzy on yourself. Shift and use Unholy Frenzy on your healer, for example. Focus macro. Type in /focus to set your target as focus. I have many focus macros, for example Chains of Ice, Death Grip, Strangulate, Mind Freeze, Pet Stun and so on. Before we come to the end, I want to show you guys some useful tips and tricks for your Death Knight. Dark Simulacrum. Push the opponent to below a CD. For example, I like to grip a mage and use Dark Simulacrum because every mage knows when a Death Knight grips it's safe to blink. This actually makes them blink, gives you a blink and you're right on top of them again. Using Taunt on healers to keep them in fight and prevent them from drinking and also prevent damage on the main target of the opponent's team by taunting water elementals, gargoyles and other pets. It is also worth to mention if for example a mage casts Polymorph on you and you taunt another pet, for example a Death Knight Ghoul, right before it to hit you out of the sheep. Dark Transformation. The transformed ghoul will interrupt the target and immobilize it for 2 seconds when leaping charging to it. This is also pretty nice to set up an awesome CC chain. Dark Transformation charge, Gnaw, Strangulate. Death Grip. Use this on warriors while Bladestorm is up. It's the only thing you can really do to relieve pressure during these abilities. It is important that you don't waste the Death Grip on small distances. Hungering Cold. Match Hungering Cold with Aura Mastery, or if you have a sexy Tauren, do a War Stomp. So Aura Mastery works for you as well, since it's a raid cooldown. For example, Death Grip, Chains of Ice, Aura Mastery and Hungering Cold. Lichborne. Lichborne is more than just a fear breaker. You can prevent Seduce, Sap, Polymorph, Hex, Fear and also Mind Control. If you're in Seduce, Fear or Mind Control you can also use it to break it. But be careful, always make sure that you cancel a Lichborne by making a /cancel our Lichborne macro to prevent Shackle of Priests and turn Evil from Paladins. Thanks for watching my guide and I hope you enjoyed it and also learned 1 or 2 things about your Death Knight. Have fun!